Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and with everything going on in the Multiverse of Madness update, I thought it would be smart to get ahead and knock out some of these more important questions that I've been seeing pop up literally everywhere on social media since the update went live. So today we're just going to be covering the Shield archive because everyone has been talking about the 7th anniversary gift special, and particularly since you all pretty much unlock it immediately, the 3-star artifact selector. I cannot tell you in the last like 3 hours how many times I've probably read the question over 100 times, right? Who should I select from the 3-star selector? Who should I select? Now, with artifacts, it's always difficult to tell people who to select because we don't know your roster. So your roster plays a big role in this, and just like a CTP or more like a uniform, you wouldn't buy a uniform for a character you don't have. So don't purchase or don't select for free an artifact for a character that you don't have, unless you are 1 billion% certain that you will be building that character within the next month. Because if it's not a month from now, trust me, you're going to select the artifact, it's going to sit in your inventory rot, and then 6 months down the line, you're going to be like, oh, I selected Hawkeye. And then you're going to be like, oops, well, there's a new speed type now, and I don't want Hawkeye anymore, so this is basically a waste. And the difference between the 3-star and the 4-star artifacts, at least for now, is that the 4-star artifacts can still be used down the line to re-roll other artifacts. The 3-stars cannot. So you want this artifact, this 3-star artifact, to work for you immediately. So I cannot stress that enough. Very much like a uniform, you should only get it for a character that you already have. So what we're going to do is I have a little screenshot here of the artifact selector. We're basically going to go in reverse order, and I'm going to knock out all of the artifacts that I don't think players should be choosing, and then we will see what we have left. Okay, most of these artifacts, by and large, these artifacts over here are all offensive. Like, very few of them are defensive, very few of them are PvP specific, so that also helps us to eliminate a lot of things right off the top. So yeah, right off the top of the bat, I can say you should probably not choose Drax. I mean, there is a player out there, I can't say for certain that there isn't at least one player out there who loves Drax and who wants his 3-star artifact, sure, but he made no impact in PvP when he landed, and since then he hasn't done anything else for himself. America Chavez coming in does make for a pretty interesting 105% increase HP team using Drax as lead. However, there are much better options. I'm also going to be eliminating Ultron's artifacts right off the bat because you can get a free 3-star version and 4-star version and 5-star version and 6-star version eventually from the legendary, or not legendary, the World Boss Legend, not the legendary battle, the World Boss Legend for Ultron. So it's very easy to farm, and that's why. I'm also going to be eliminating Gamoras and Hawkeyes for the same reason. Gamoras and Hawkeyes were both offered, Hawkeyes very recently, for free in a 4-star version. So I'm assuming if you've been playing every day for the past 2 months that you have both. At the very least, you must have Hawkeye, unless you just came back to the game, in which case you missed it. But in Gamora's case, she's already been replaced, eclipsed, I could say, not even just replaced, eclipsed by Green Goblin. So even then, even if you were not playing at that time and now you want to come back in and you want to get Requiem because speed villain, there are much better speed villains nowadays, and we'll get to them later because you can see them towards the bottom, and they are much better. I'm also going to be then eliminating Gwenpool, just assuming that if you're a Gwenpool fanatic and you bought her uniform and you fully invested in her build, you're going to pick this one up regardless of what I say if you don't already have it. So that's sort of where it is. I'm also going to be getting rid of Deadpool's artifact because it doesn't do anything. It doesn't really do anything to change his place in the meta. It's a lot like Drax. He made no impact in the meta when he got his new uniform a couple of weeks ago, and it's not really going to change anytime soon because the devs are not going to buff him, and he really only serves the purpose of being a leadership for Gwenpool, and his artifact has literally nothing to do with that. So with that being said, you're left with, hang on a minute, a much smaller list, but we're going to eliminate a couple more here. As much as I maybe like Sandman, as much as I like the idea that maybe these guys will get a uniform and there's going to be like a No Way Home Part 3, I'm going to knock out both Sandman and Vulture from this list because, again, the chances of these guys getting anything beyond their Transcendence at this point is extremely low, and they just don't cut it, you know, at this point, given what they can do and given what they can't do. I kind of want to cut Mysterio as well. Mysterio is kind of hard to cut, but I am going to cut him just because I just reminded myself I had to go and look at what the artifact does. It gives him ignore dodge and increased damage to heroes. That's okay, but the increased damage to heroes kind of feels more like a PvP thing, and there's no way you're going to be using Mysterio in PvP. There's just absolutely No way. So yeah, that's where we're at. So this is basically where you should start your decision making from. I think this list that we've whittled it down to with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is probably a really good place to go. I would go a little bit further and say you could probably X out America Chavez's artifact. It does give her damage reduction for PvP. It gives her damage reduction versus non-boss enemies. However, yeah, I don't know. Let's just go with these here. This is a nice list, and this sort of balances things out for us in a way that sort of makes sense. So yeah, this is a much more comfortable list. I think if you choose any one of these, you're probably making a good decision. And again, I'm gonna label these now in a way that makes it easier for you to see what's going on. So I think right off the bat, you can say that if I put a P, it's for PvP. Adam Warlock and Echo are basically entirely PvP artifacts. So in this case, you know, if you don't care about PvP, you can just X them off as well and go down to the second row with Thanos and Kate Bishop. If you're really into PvP and you have one of them built or both of them built, then they're honestly really good choices. They would probably both be in my top 5. The guaranteed, the dodge all attacks artifact for Echo is very powerful, and it synergizes with her guaranteed dodge and things like that, and her damage reduction. And then the heal from Adam Warlock, it's not a huge amount of heal. I believe it's only 1%, but it adds up. It adds up. And Adam Warlock surviving is definitely important, because the more times he gets to pop off that second skill, the more times you're probably going to win. And then basically the rest of them are mostly PvE centered. Doctor Strange's is kind of an interesting one, where it has effects that are good for both PvE and PvP. It's leaning towards PvP because of the iframe ignore, but then on the other hand, he doesn't have a lot of other abilities that make him PvP viable, so I see it more for PvE. It's got a chance to dodge all attacks, it's got increased basic attack, and then it's got the iframe ignore. The thing is, we're not sure yet if the chance to freeze, even though it can't trigger against World Boss Legends and stuff like that, if that will still trigger his artifact. So this one's kind of a question mark right now, but I also think it's a little bit lower on the list. And then the last one that's a little bit lower on the list here would be Green Goblin. The reason why I kind of deduct some points from this one is because he's tier 2, right? Everybody else on this list is Transcended or tier 3, whereas Green Goblin is still only tier 2. Green Goblin is a great tier 2, but the other thing is his artifact doesn't really do that much for him. It just gives him more attack. So you know what? I'm actually going to go ahead and just cross this one off the list. I think this one probably doesn't need to be on anyone's radar. And then for now, I would say Doctor Strange's is kind of a question mark. So pretty much everybody else that you have here, like I said, is going to give you a pretty good return on your decision. Thanos is going to be basically PvP as well, because Thanos is by and large a PvP character. And then all of the other ones, like Kate Bishop's, is going to give her, it gives her iframe ignore and damage reduction. Yeah, that's okay. I would probably X that one as well. I don't know, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. This one's okay. I would say this one's like 50-50. I really like, beyond these two right here, I do really like the rest of them for different reasons. Like Dr. Octopus's has some pretty clear value, where it gives him increased damage versus aliens and creature types, and that's a 25% increase at 6 stars, which means at 3 stars it's going to be like at least 10-15%. So that's solid, right? It gives him multiple different effects that are going to help him in different content, and he's proven to be quite solid as a standalone character. You have Electro here, who, when I can find his artifact, I'm pretty sure it's quite good as well. I just can't see Electro, this bald dude. It's the old Electro. When the shock skill is used, increased attack by 5%, and it stacks up to, so this is, it's sort of like a stacking effect, like Kingpin. So again, this one's pretty good. I think Scarlet Witch is a pretty good one as well. She increases her damage to heroes and villains. Again, it's got a little bit more flexibility for both PvE and PvP, so I kind of like it in that sense. And then I think Wong's is pretty good as well. This just increases his attack. I just think that Wong needs it more than someone like Green Goblin does, because Wong is not walking around with a 100% all attack frenzy buff. So even though I put a question mark on Doctor Strange's, if I had to grade the ones that we have left from this list here, I would probably say, it's tough, but I think Adam Warlock's is number 1. I think Echo's is probably maybe not number 2, but it's tough to say. Perhaps yeah, it's really beyond Adam Warlock. It's pretty hard to decide where these actually end up going. Maybe Doctor Strange is number 2. It really just depends how much it affects that different content. Maybe put Scarlet Witch number 3. Maybe put Echo number 4, and then perhaps put Ock 5, Wong 6, Kate 7. I guess it's kind of an ugly 7, but yeah. Thanos, honestly, I'm not sure how much he needs it. I'm not sure how much he needs it. And then Electro 9th. And then Electro is 9th because Green Goblin actually does better than him in ABX. So I guess you could maybe put Goblin 9th and put Electro 10th. I don't know. Goblin's kind of a sleeper pick. It really just depends on how confident you are that he's going to be getting a tier 3, right? Because then that'll just open up the value of the artifact anymore. But I do think that those 10 options for you, and especially those top 5, are your best bet depending on what characters you have. So hopefully this helps. I know it was a bit rough and a little bit like off the cuff. I didn't script ahead of time exactly what I was going to choose, so I was sort of making some decisions on the fly. But yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this ranking and how you would rank your top 5 artifacts from the selector, and hopefully this has helped you decide who you're going to choose. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.